This portion of Living Local Carolina is sponsored by Lawyer Lisa. Joining us today is attorney Lisa Hostetler-Brown to break down an important legal topic that could affect you. Thanks for being here.
Hi, I'm Lisa Hostetler-Brown, and thanks for joining me for Legally Speaking with Lawyer Lisa. Today we're going to talk about a very complex topic that most people don't understand, so pay attention. We're going to be talking about irrevocable trusts, a 5-year look back for Medicaid planning. Well, why would somebody need Medicaid planning? Well, let's start with that. When you get older and you get sick, you may need skilled care. Skilled care could be very expensive. Average cost is running about $11,000 a month in a facility. If you're getting that care at home, it's often much more expensive than that. So there are government programs that provide for assistance for the elderly who are sick and need this type of care. But if your assets aren't set up the right way when you need this care, you'll have to use all of the money that you have left, down to usually $2,000, and then you can qualify. So while people are worried about having a will and how they're going to leave their assets to their loved ones, they overlook the fact that if they get sick and they don't have something in place, that they're not going to have any assets. There won't be anything to leave behind. And so this is an important consideration when you're making your plans. Now, is this kind of planning for everyone? Certainly not. You may have lots of money. If you have millions of dollars, you can afford to pay for this kind of care and still leave an inheritance, or still have money to do the things that you need to do. Or you might have long-term care insurance that covers you for an unlimited amount of time. And you can afford the premiums for the rest of the time that you might need to pay them. That's something to be careful of because premiums typically rise on long-term care insurance. But for many people that don't have insurance or who don't have the funds to pay for this kind of care, they might be interested in another option. So something called a Medicaid Asset Protection Trust can be a useful tool in some circumstances for people who are trying to plan ahead to make sure that they have resources available if they ever need them in the future. And let me give you a quick example. If a husband and wife have a few assets and they're worried about the high cost of care, maybe they have not a lot of income coming in every month, and husband's a little bit older than wife and maybe not doing so well. Wife is worried about how she's going to pay for the rest of her life and any sort of assisted living care that she might need down the road, long after husband might be gone. They can utilize something like a 5-year protection trust to put certain assets in there, more money than they would otherwise be allowed to keep for the spouse. This is a way to use this tool so that money can be preserved and protected for a spouse who is not going in nursing home, who still needs to live their life, and who still wants to be able to do things like pay their car insurance or take a trip, maybe go see their grandkids, without feeling like they've been impoverished or without feeling like they only have a minimum amount left to their name. Now, if you have a community spouse, they can keep a little more than $2,000. But believe me, if you're planning to live for another 20 years, it might not feel like enough. So this could be a good option if you have a good family situation. It's not for everyone, but it's definitely something to consider. So if you've done your estate planning and you didn't discuss with your attorney the option for an irrevocable trust or an asset protection trust or a Medicaid asset protection trust, then maybe you haven't even thought about it. And that's where I would encourage you to do a little more research and get a little more information about this. I can't tell you all about this in this quick little blurb, but there's a lot of resources available to you. We even have a QR code on the screen so you can get more information about this, so you can make an informed decision. That's what this is all about. Whatever you decide is fine, as long as you're getting all the information and making an informed choice about this. So Medicaid planning, again, is not for everyone, but it's a very useful way to make sure that if you're married, that your spouse is going to be protected, that if you are not married and you have children, that they can have money set aside to provide for other things you might need. $2,000 does not go a long way. So it's really important to consider how to get these benefits and what you need to do to make sure they're available for you if you need them. And believe me, your family will thank you if you've done this planning in advance. and makes things a lot easier and a lot smoother for them down the road. Thanks again for joining me. I'm Lisa Hostetler-Brown, and this is Legally Speaking with Lawyer Lisa.
Our thanks to Lawyer Lisa for sharing her valuable insight today. If you'd like more information or have questions on the topic, be sure to reach out at the website or the phone number on your screen. This portion of Living Local Carolina is sponsored by Lawyer Lisa.